السلام عليكم الاخوان والاخوات، كيف الحال والاحوال؟ كنتمنى تكونوا بخير وعلى خير. وهذا الفيديو لقاكم في صحه جيده، واكيد غيلقاكم في صحه جيده وغيرفع لكم المورال كما رفع لي المورال صراحه وانا كنخدم عليه. هذا الفيديو بينون النسوه، ولكن جميع المغاربه يكونوا فخورين به، لا رجال لا نساء لا كبار لا صغار. درت واحد التجميعات ديال يعني مداخلات ديال الوزيرات المغربيات في هاد التجمعات او في هاد الاجتماعات ديال صندوق البنك الدولي وما جاورها، والتدخلات ديالهم بالانجليزيه. اللي عجبني في الموضوع انه بالاضافه للاحترافيه، انا بغيتكم تسمعوا المقاطع المعنى ديالهم، يعني ماشي غير حافظين، مقاطع قويه يعني كيجاوبوا على تساؤلات قويه. الاحترافيه ديالهم، قوه ديال التواصل ديالهم القويه جدا، وكذلك العفويه ديالهم يعني صراحه رائعات بكل ما في المعنى. يعني واحد المستوى حطوا المستوى عالي جدا جدا، غتكون فخور بهم اكيد. خليك تشوف هاد المقاطع ديال 4 الوزيرات كيفاش تكلموا، يعني بصراحه عجبوني. اكيد انت الا كنتي ما فيك لا زيادات لا والو، غتجيك لونجلي نقيه، والمضمون خصوصا المضمون خطير جدا. مضمون يعني الناس خدامين، الناس عارفين شنو كيديروا، ماشي كيسكتوا. خليك تشوف هاد المقاطع وغادي نشارك معك في الاخير. هادشي ما جاش من فراغ، كاينه خدمه دارت وخدمه مديوره شحال هادي. خليك تشوف المقاطع. الا كنتي اول مره دير لايك واشتراك، وضروري كمل المقاطع كاملين راه مترجمين، ونتلاقاو في الاخير نقولوا كيفاش دارت هاد الخدمه. واش هادشي جا غير فقنا الصباح لقينا هادشي؟ اجي نتناقشوا في الاخير.
Minister Ben Ali, let's bring into the conversation to understand just some of the challenges but opportunities at country level, because you're literally at the, the face of humanity. Can you share with us how Morocco is approaching its climate and its development objectives? And I'm sensitive to the fact that we've been told the two aren't necessarily trade-offs, they're interdependent, but how do you go about making the decisions?
Yeah, and I like the sentence around the face of humanity, because it's exactly what we are talking about. And the fact that people, when they come to talk to me, they want to talk about energy only. And I tell them, I'm the same person. My mandate is also to look into informal mining and sustainable development. And I have to be looking into how you breed cows, because methane, contains carbon. And how, well, we don't eat a lot of rice in Morocco, but I'll be very much open to the exercise of comparing couscous carbon emissions to rice carbon emissions. But the whole point is, whatever we do is carbon, we emit carbon. Human activity emits carbon, it's part of nature. So unless we want to have a very frank and honest conversation about how we live, and that's why I loved your sentence about the face of humanity, we will not get there. Let me get a couple of points there. Our new development model of Morocco is very much focused on 4 key facets. You know a couple of those, especially Kristalina, she played soccer with us on Sunday. And if I say that this panel is actually much better than a pre-COP meeting, I'm going to be accused to say that Morocco is stealing climate negotiations like they have controlled the World Cup, but that's a discussion for another day. Anyway, our new development model, systemic issue resolution. As we said this morning, let's not wait to be surprised by every crisis, climate-related or not, that we are hit with. It's a norm, and we have always been living like that. The humanity has always been tackling those crises, and these are cross-border and cross-generational crises that we have to deal with. Second point, global and integrated approach. Again, I'm the same person. I'm the same Minister of Energy, Mining, Sustainable Development, and Waste Management and Recycling. And I cannot be schizophrenic. I'm the same person, so it has to be integrated. Third, forward-looking perspective. Between now and 2030, we want to, 2050, we want to achieve the 1.5 degrees objective. We know what we have to do. We have to scale up and amplify nature-based solutions, and other
discuss, and that should really be taken seriously by partners.
Since we're on the theme of money and maybe putting other people on the spot, but not on this panel, but I wanted to, we received some questions from the audience also beforehand, and there's one I think that would be fitting here for you, Minister, and perhaps for Mr. Ben Ali as well. It's on the climate crisis and rich countries, so here it is. The climate crisis, which is by far the worst of the crisis engulfing the world, cannot be addressed without the support of rich countries. Is this happening? I know it's an ongoing debate, but either of you wants to answer in particular, or?
You can take it.
Thank you. Right. I think while Minister of Finance of Malawi was talking about debt service, and I think we cannot answer this question about climate change and this dichotomy between the rich world on one side and the poorer world on the other side without having serious discussions indeed about debt. Because this question of climate, this crisis, is by nature cross-generational and cross-boundaries. So we can go around in circles for years, but as long as we don't address this specific question about how we get beyond the traditional toolkit of financing, debt versus equity, bond versus equity. And that's why I'm really actually grateful for the World Bank, because they put in place this new playbook and saying in a very humble way, the traditional toolkit doesn't work anymore. That's exactly what I think Anna is saying. So, and the fact that these pools of finance, and as I said earlier in my introduction, there is a crisis of fear, and there is a crisis of dignity, and in Morocco we like to be hopeful and put dignity and human in all the strategies that we are doing. So if I take the example of our national strategy of sustainable development, where climate is a big part, it's actually a bottom-up strategy that is not being crafted between ministries, between myself and our Minister of Finance, but really coming from the population to say, well, if you want us to go and tap into that pool of international finance, what is it that you need exactly when it comes to your vulnerability, when it comes to climate, for example? Because our tourism sector is affected by climate, our fisheries are affected by climate, etc. So I think today, it's really a matter of understanding that the traditional toolkit doesn't work, and we have to do two things at the same time, and really take these crises, and I'm sorry to say this.
The last couple of days have been extremely difficult for the international community because of the loss of life in Gaza and in Israel. How does this change geopolitically the world economy?
First, our condolences to all the victims, and we call in for a most peaceful world, and His Majesty is calling for a meeting of the Quds Committee today. Of course, once again, this tragedy will probably hit the economy, especially oil prices and energy prices. As of Morocco, we are watching carefully this and preparing maybe to adjust our action plans, but we don't see for the moment any direct impact on our expectation for growth and macroeconomic fundamentals for 2023.
Do you worry that actually if this escalates, it again puts central banks in a very difficult position?
Of course, yes, it's definitely a risk, and hopefully we'll be hearing from them. They're all gathering in Marrakesh this week, and hopefully they will be wisely managing this situation.
Minister, what does it mean for there was also normalization, of course, of ties trade-wise between, thanks to the Abraham Accords, between Morocco and Israel. Will there be conditions actually that you will be putting for this to go forward?
Look, Morocco has in its DNA openness to all the world, and Abraham Lincoln's Accords is one of them, and we are definitely committed to be open to the world and to trade, to work with all the parties in a really very constructive way.
Is there a danger also, Minister, that actually investors, Morocco is going through a little bit of a boost, right, with the investor community being quite confident that you're on the right trajectory so far, but do you worry that, again, the Middle East because it becomes a bit of a hotbed, investors will be very shy to come back in with force?
We are really optimistic about relationship with investors. We raised some money this year with the sovereign bond, and I think that Morocco is a really reliable partner. The reform agenda is implemented with discipline and within a proper framework, and we think that investors knows this. He knows that the role of Morocco in the growth of Africa is very important, and we are keeping a strong relationship, explaining what we are doing and giving all the insurance that we can, I would say, get this money and make it profitable for the investors.
So, Minister, what are you looking at specifically to actually, I guess, give yourself the best chance to go back to investment grade?
We've discussed with the rating agency, telling them that our fundamentals today are much better than the moment we had the investment grade. There was some precedent conditions like exiting the GAFI list and going, I would say, getting the flexibility line from the IMF. So we have an ongoing conversation saying that we definitely are ready to get back our investment grade.
Parts of Morocco were of course also devastated because of the earthquake, so you have very strong short to medium term financing needs. Again, what's the right mix of making sure that longer term there's still enough money in the coffers?
So this after this human tragedy of the earthquake, the idea is to build back better. So we have a comprehensive plan for 5 years. It's 6 provinces that are in this plan. So a large part of the funding for this plan is within the budget of the state, because we had, I would say, money available for this. Sector for MDBs. So hopefully we will be able to raise the voice of emerging markets, of middle-income countries, and also demonstrate what Morocco have been able to achieve and what is, I would say, what the ambition is for the future.
Well, Morocco also requested a $5 billion credit line from the IMF that was recently approved. What was the catalyst for that request?
I wouldn't call it, I would say, the credit line. It's a precautionary line, and I think it's important to emphasize on the fact that we consider it as an insurance. Morocco has been, under the guidance of His Majesty, able to manage properly the 3 crises that we just unfortunately lived all over the world, but to be able to continue to mitigate the impact of the crisis, to have, I would say, a mature fiscal policy and strong reform agenda, we need this insurance, I would say, and precautionary line from the IMF. First time that an African country or Middle East country had this line. Yeah. It's important for us. I think it's an achievement, but also a beginning of a journey.
By Her Excellency Rita Mzour, Moroccan Minister in charge of Digital Transition and Administration Reform. Excellency, welcome and thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for the invitation.
Thank you. Excellency, digitalization can be a game changer in confronting global challenges. How is that journey progressing for Morocco?
So in Morocco, King Mohammed VI made the system calls on using digital as a lever for socio-economic development, on a lever to empower people. So we're working on digitizing public services in health, education, investments. So Moroccans today can have access to more than 300 digital public services. Companies can have access to more than 200 digital public services to reduce delays, transparent services. Digital can also be a way to provide jobs and growth. So Morocco is the second top outsourcing destination in Africa. That sector employs 3,000 people in Morocco, mainly youth in different regions Morocco offers many advantages. We're 5 hours from the US, 5 hours from India, same time zone as Europe. Youth here speak multiple languages,
That's
French,
true.
English, Arabic, Spanish. So multiple markets are open. And there's also a startup ecosystem that is getting bigger and bigger. We're also working on enlarging our talent pool. Moroccan youth are particularly talented in STEM, in IT, and we're working on multiplying the number of young people trained as IT professionals by 4 or 5. Very ambitious program, because we have a lot of young people, very talented people, and we're there to train them.
That's true. That's a very ambitious program, and there are also some challenges regarding making this digitalization more accessible to everyone. And what still needs to be done to address this digital divide to make sure that everyone can access the fruits of digitalization?
So we talk a lot about digital divide, but actually digital can also be a way to empower people. So in Morocco, internet penetration is as high as 90%, which means people in cities, in rural area can have access to internet, can have access to digital. They're learning skills, they can work remotely, they can have access to public digital services without having to go and travel far. There are a lot of opportunities that digital actually offers to bring these people back to the economy. We also there are coding schools in Morocco that people can have access to. So their people can be out of school and they get 2 years of training, and now they are IT professionals. They can work in multiple places everywhere.
Excellency, you agree with me that this is the first time that the World Bank and IMF are hosting their annual meetings in Morocco. And I would love to know, what does that mean for you as Moroccan first, but also as a member of the government?
It's exciting that the world here comes and sees firsthand what Morocco is today, what Morocco has to offer economically, what we've achieved, and the potential of what we can achieve.
Pandemic, the effects of the pandemic, and what is Morocco going to be doing in terms of broader tourism strategy?
Thank you, Daniel. First of all, I would like to welcome all our guests that are with us in Morocco and in Tarazout specifically. I'm sure that many of you don't know this station, which is normal because it didn't exist 10 years ago, which shows really the dynamic of the investments in this country. So I will be sharing some key learnings about tourism in Morocco. I'll be talking also about how we overcome all this crisis these 2 past years, and I'll share also how we see the future of the sector and how we see the role of the government within it.
كما شفتوا الإخوان، يعني هذاك الشيء واضح وباين الأمور، وكاينة خدمة. أنا بقيت نتبع وأنا كنراقب الترجمة وبقيت نتبع، لقيت أنه أسئلة في الصميم وأسئلة قوية جدا. يعني راه كتلقى مقابلات مع مراسلين، يعني الناس مختصين إعلاميين عارفين شنو كيديروا، حتى واحدين سولوهم على هذا الشيء اللي واقع في فلسطين، وهذا الشيء يعني شي حاجه اللي هي مضبوطه. واش هذا الشيء جا غير بين ليله وضحاها؟ لا الاخوان، هذا الشيء كاينه خدمه. ونقول لك الدليل علاش انها كاينه خدمه. شوف غير اسماء الوزارات: وزاره الانتقال الطاقي، ماشي وزاره الطاقه، الانتقال الطاقي، وعنده واحد المعنى كبير جدا. وزاره الاقتصاد الرقمي، يعني شي حاجه خطيره جدا الاخوان. راه واحد المستوى يعني بعد فخور باش كنشوف ان امام مديره صندوق النقد الدولي كتهضر ليلى بن علي بهذيك القوه وبهذيك العفويه، وكذلك بديك الرزانه اللي عند ناديه فتاح العلاوي. يعني وخلاص هذاك غيتام زوار حتى هي تبارك الله عليها شابه، يعني تبارك الله عليهم، برافو عليهم. كسب شي عبر على الا كنتي مغربي او مغربيه في داخل المغرب او خارج المغرب، عبر. واحد النقطه مهمه، راه مغاربه العالم الاخوان راه دخلوا للمغرب، بغا يهزوا بالبلاد، مغاربة العالم راه يعني الدولة ديما فتح لهم الأيادي، وخصوصا للمشاركة في هذه النهضة. وكنشوفوا بن علي ولا حتى هما يمكن 2 أو 3 فيهم كانوا عايشين في برا، ولكن مدة هذه دخلوا للمغرب. كاينه خدمة كدار الإخوان ومستوى يفتخر به كل مغربي ومغربية. تفاعل مع هذا الفيديو، شنو بان لك؟ كيف جاك انت؟ واش انت فخور بهذا الشيء؟ ما كنقولش غير الشكل، غير اللغة، ما كنهضرش غير على اللغة فقط، على المضمون متمكنين من القطاع ديالهم. خلي شي تعليق. شكرا الناس كيديروا لايك قبل الفيديو، وبطبيعة الحال إذا انضميتي لينا مرحبا بك في العائلة. إلى لقاء فيديو آخر إن شاء الله. تهلاو.